Time for NFL prospects to get poked and prodded. The NFL Combine is on the horizon beginning Tuesday in Indianapolis. Players will go through drills and interviews with teams in hopes of improving their draft stock. Plenty of questions to be answered for sure. But first, let's take a look at the schedule of events by position. On March 3rd, tight ends, QBs, and wideouts are going to kick things off. Before we talk about the offensive linemen and the running backs, March 4th, we'll see the defensive line, the edge guys, the linebackers. They're going to hit the field on March 5th, and we wrap things up with DBs and special teams. And our draft guru, Ryan Wilson, who may or may not be packed by now, is certainly heading to Indy with plenty of questions that he wants answered. Let's find out what they are. And let's start with a quarterback you have going in the first round, and that is Malik Willis. How much will his speed play a factor into his draft stock this week?
Mike, I can't believe it's almost March. I mean, the season's flying by. We're right into the middle of the draft process. The Combine is a few days away, as you noted. And it's an opportunity for these guys to make themselves some money, as we like to say. So Malik Willis, we know he can run. We know he can run over guys. We know he can run through guys. We know he can outrun guys. But what happens is, in the shorts and T-shirts portion of the pre-draft process, is you get to Indianapolis and you blaze a 40 time, and suddenly your draft stock goes even higher. Malik Willis is considered a first-round pick. I like him more in the second round, but his ability doing things like this is what gets your attention. So how fast does he need to run to perhaps ease his way into the top 10 or solidify his way there? Well, consider this. RG3 ran a 4.41 in 2012. Marcus Mariota ran a 4.52 in 2015, and Justin Fields ran a 4.44 last year. All those things got our attention. But if Malik goes out there and runs a 4.5, that is plenty fast. If he runs a 4.6, that's plenty fast. Think about it this way. Josh Allen ran a 4.75 at his combine. Patrick Mahomes ran a 4.8. And both those guys were outrunning every defender on the field when they met up in that playoff game. So I think 4.5 gets your attention and makes you excited. But the reality is, if Malik runs a 4.75, he's still a first-round type talent because of his athleticism and arm strength.
Is he considered a back end of the first round, as you mentioned, maybe second round, because he played at a smaller school?
That's the math you have to do. Mm-hmm. So here's a great example that I like to use. Josh Allen went to Wyoming, and he had no help around him offensively, and there were questions about how could he play the next level with the level of competition improving. I think that's the same conversation for Malik Willis, who's about 4 or 5 inches shorter, but does a lot of the same things physically. So you have to be able to project what does Malik Willis look like at the next level with good players around him. And I think knowing that, look, like I said, I think he's a second-round pick. I also think he may end up going in the top 15 because teams are projecting what he'll look like. They'll be able to coach him up, and they'll have those players around him to make him better. And I say it all the time. If you're getting, say, if there's a 25% chance you're getting Josh Allen, you're taking him in the top 15. You don't want to miss on that because you are a little afraid of overdrafting a quarterback.
Wow, quite the spectrum there for Malik Willis. All right, moving on to another quarterback. Desmond Ritter helped Cincinnati into the college football playoff, 30 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions this season. But is his arm strength a big question mark for Ritter heading towards the draft? Is this what scouts are going to keep an eye on?
Yep, arm strength and accuracy, and you can sort of let the accuracy go by the wayside of the combine because you're throwing to guys you don't know. And look, we'll see if Desmond Ritter decides to throw it all, because what happens sometimes is that these big-name quarterbacks, the top 4 or 5 guys, don't like to throw at the combine because of the accuracy issues with random wide receivers they haven't worked with. They'll wait till their pro day. But whenever Desmond Ritter decides to throw, and if it's his pro day and scripted 50-pass situation, he needs to be on point, and he needs to show a little zip in that arm strength. That wasn't an issue last year with Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Mac Jones had some concerns, but his pro day, he did okay. He didn't do great. But I think for Desmond Ritter, the questions have been throughout his career, not the athleticism or his ability to make plays with his feet. It's his ability to throw the ball accurately and to throw it with some pace. And that's what I want to see from him, whether it's next week in Indianapolis or at his pro day, because that could determine, unfairly or not, whether he's a third-round pick or whether he sneaks his way into early part of the second round.
You mentioned accuracy and throwing to wide receivers that you don't know. Traylon Burks will be one of those wide receivers out there. Out of Arkansas, certainly has the numbers to be a high draft pick, but can certain drills make or break a combine for certain players?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go back a few years to DK Metcalf, who's similar height, weight guy, 6'3", 230 range. And here, I mean, Treylon Burks can do everything, and he is outrunning guys down the field. But what's he going to run the 40 time in? I mean, you just watch him leaving guys, you think it's going to be pretty fast. But more importantly, what's the three-cone drill going to be like? Because remember, DK Metcalf ran that 4.33, and we were like, oh my God, this guy is a burner. And then he busted out that 7.38 three-cone drill, which is bottom third percentile. I've sort of comped Treylon Burks to Anquan Bolden. Anquan Bolden's a few inches shorter and 15 pounds lighter coming out. Anquan ran a 4.72, and then he had also a similar 4.35 three-cone. He's a much better player than those numbers suggested. Same with DK. And I want to see if Treylon Burks, whether he has a really good three-cone, how that affects his draft stock, and if he has sort of a DK Metcalf type three-cone, if that sees him fall a little bit. I can't imagine he falls out of the first round, but I think at the end of the day, sometimes we overvalue these metrics. If we just watch those highlights of Treylon Burks, it's clear he's usually the best player on the football field.
Okay, let me ask you something about that, because you mentioned Malik Willis and the spectrum there. Say, oh, if you can get Josh Allen again, or 25% to get Josh Allen. Well, if it's 25% or greater to get an Anquan Bolden or a DK Metcalf, do you think maybe teams reach for him?
Yeah, I don't even know it's going to be a reach. The funny thing, Mike, about this wide receiver class is it's very similar to the quarterback class in that the top of the class is lumped together. So you might be a Drake London guy, which I am. You might be a Garrett Wilson guy, which I also happen to be. You might be a Treylon Burks guy. Hey, that's me as well. It's just what you like fits your offense. I think there's more versatility in what Treylon Burks offers because of his size and his ability to catch screen passes and take it to the house. But that doesn't mean those other guys can't do that. It's just what you're looking for. Does Treylon Burks need to be a little more refined in his route running? Yeah, probably. But these guys are 20, 21, 22 years old, and I'm not so much concerned about that. But next week we'll be concerned about the times and the three cones. And at the end of the day, it may not ultimately matter. But again, it's something to talk about because we love this stuff so much.
All right, Ryan Wilson, you, Tommy, and I will be out there. We'll race each other in the 40, see whose draft stock goes up. Thank you for joining us, as always, for your daily fix of NFL news and analysis. Be sure to check out the Pick Six podcast with Will Brinson and his many friends.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.